Hello everyone, this is Yufei Long from Purdue University. The title of my presentation is Mechanics of Structured Genome-based Nonlinear Cell Analysis. This work is done with the cooperation between Purdue and NASA Langley Research Center. Thin-ply high-strength composite deployable booms are a kind of structures used in small satellite applications. These booms can be coiled into a small volume for storage and deployed in mission. The storage time can be as long as several months or even years. During the coiling and storage, the boom goes through large deformation and time-dependent behavior are observed. Furthermore, it was found that permanent deformation exists after the deployment of the boom, and that means during the storage, yielding has already initiated. Here we are going to develop a MSG-based shell model that can be used to analyze the permanent deformation of these kind of boom structures. Compared with 3D solid elements, shell elements are more computational efficient for this kind of thin structures, and since nonlinear analysis will be an incremental analysis, so the saving on computational cost can be more significant than linear analysis. And if we are going to use a nonlinear 3D model and then apply the 3D model to shell element, then we may have information loss during this conversion, since in nonlinear analysis, the loading status will affect the behavior of the material, and if you do not have an accurate way to recover the 3D stress and strain from your shell solution, the material behavior of the next increment will be affected. The nonlinear shell model in this study is based on the mechanics of structured genome, MSG. MSG is a unified theory for micromechanics and structural analysis. A general purpose homogenization called SwiftComp was developed based on MSG. The SwiftComp was originally developed for linear analysis, and in this project, a nonlinear version was developed. It can be used for nonlinear homogenization of 3D solid and shell structures. The nonlinear 3-comp uses an Euler-Newton Combined method. With this method, the 3D strain rate is written in terms of the 2D strain rate and the fluctuating function, and then substituted into this functional. This functional is solved by minimizing the fluctuating function is solved by minimizing this functional, and then shell tangent stiffness and the increment of the sectional force and moment can be obtained. In each increment, the first iteration goes through the Euler predictor step that moves the loading status in the tangential direction of the loading path. Then in the following iterations, the Newton corrector step is carried out to ensure a convergence. It will loop until converge and then go to the next increment. The nonlinear 3-comp can do independent analysis with prescribed load, and it can also do multiple loading steps. It can also do a multi-scale analysis. Here we have proposed a two-step homogenization that has a 3D solid step and for the yarn and laminar, and then a shell step for the laminate or woven composite. Here shows the workflow of our multi-scale analysis. First, we have the input for the models and also the processing. Then from the prescribed load input to the shell model, we can calculate the local stress and strain at each integration point of the shell model. 3D solid step is called at each integration point, and the shell local stress and strain are used as the macro stress and strain of the 3D model. Based on the material constitutive model, the tangent stiffness is calculated at each integration point of the 3D model. The 3D model is iterated until converge. Then the tangent stiffness of the 3D model and the updated stress will be passed to the shell model. And after all of the integration point has finished with the shell model, the shell model will be solved and checked for convergence. If it is not converged, it will repeat the process until the whole model is converged, and then the shell tangent stiffness and updated sectional force and moment are passed out as the output. To implement the nonlinear material properties, we have introduced a user material interface, SCUMAT. With SCUMAT, user can define their own material model with user-defined material constant and state variables. And also it is designed to be similar to the Abaqus UMAT, so that the conversion effort between the SCUMAT and Abaqus UMAT can be minimized. Now we are going to validate the nonlinear 3-comp and the SCUMAT. We are going to compare with the Abaqus solid model with UMAT. This is a plate with homogeneous material and the thickness is 1 mm. When we apply a displacement at the boundary, we can calculate the force and moment based on the resultant stress at the center, and to compare with the shell model with nonlinear 3-comp. On the left-hand side shows the result of a viscoelastic model from Abaqus documentation. We can see that with different loading rates, our result matches exactly with Abaqus result. And on the right-hand side shows a continuum damage model. It is more complex than the viscoelastic model, and for this model, our nonlinear 3-comp can still match very well with the Abaqus result. Then we have implemented a different material model with the SCUMAT. It is a nonlinear viscoelastic viscoplastic model developed for analyzing the permanent deformation of the TP-HSE booms. The material model consists of a nonlinear viscoelastic part and a viscoplastic part. The nonlinear viscoelastic part is implemented first, and we have compared with the experimental result in literature. Experimental results are expressed with 3D variables such as stress and strain, but we are comparing with a shell model, so we set the shell thickness to be 1 mm so that we can directly compare the magnitude. And here is a creep recovery test, and we can see that our result matches very well with the experiment in the creep step, but we have some underprediction in the creep recovery. A possible reason of this is that during the creep step, the experimental specimen already have some plasticity deformation, but our model only has the nonlinear viscoelastic part. And then we also compare the result of the creep recovery with different load magnitude. We can see that in the creep step, the nonlinear SwiftComp matches very well with the experiments, especially for lower load magnitude. And in the creep recovery, we can see some errors, but it is still acceptable. We also have an example of the 3D homogenization of a hexagonal pack with the nonlinear viscoelastic model. This is important because the 3D solid homogenization will be part of the two-step homogenization for multi-scale applications. The matrix uses the nonlinear viscoelastic model and the fiber is elastic. It has a loading step and a relaxation step. Since the load is applied in the fiber direction, most of the load is carried by the fiber, so the curve looks quite linear. But if we zoom into the relaxation step, we can see that the stress relaxation is very obvious. Then we have a viscoelastic part added to the model, and in this example, we are having a homogeneous shell that is prescribed with curvature. The loading process is similar to a CBT, that first is loaded with the curvature, and then the curvature is kept for relaxation, then unloaded to a zero moment state for recovery. On the left-hand side, we can see that for longer relaxation time, it has more moment relaxation, and on the right-hand side, we can see that after recovery, the extra relaxation time generates more permanent deformation, even if the controlled curvature are the same. This is a feature of the viscoplasticity. Here we have a demonstrative example of the two-step homogenization. In this example, we have a 3D homogenization set of a hexagonal pack, and then we have a shell step of a unidirectional laminate. We are using the viscoelastic material model from Abaqus documentation for the matrix, and the fiber is elastic. And we have a prescribed curvature in the normal direction to the fiber, and here shows the result of two different loading rates. For a longer loading time, we will have a larger moment, which qualitatively match the result of a homogeneous plate with the same material model. However, there is a drawback of the two-step homogenization, that is, it's computationally expensive. For this very simple shell structure, it takes about 6 hours. So if you are going to have multiple layers or you are doing analysis for woven composites, the computational cost may make it impractical. A potential solution of the high computational cost is by using surrogate models. In this demonstrative example, we are going to build a surrogate model that substitutes the 3D solid step in a two-step homogenization. The surrogate model is polynomial-based, and due to the geometry of the hexagonal pack, there is no shear generated, so the input is the 3 normal strain, and the output is the 3 normal stresses and 21 terms of the solidity matrix. The surrogate model is applied on the shell analysis and compared with a two-step homogenization. We can see that the result matches very well, and compared with the computational time of the two-step homogenization, the surrogate model only takes about 1 hour, including the time for generating the data sample. In summary, in this study, we have developed the MSG-based nonlinear shell model that uses a combined Euler-Newton method. This model is implemented in a nonlinear version of SwiftComp with the user materials interface SCUMAT. The nonlinear SwiftComp achieves excellent match when compared with Abaqus, and when compared with experiment with a nonlinear viscoelastic viscoplastic model, the maximum error is about 4%. A two-step homogenization method that enables the analysis of laminates and woven composites is also proposed, and high computational cost is emphasized by using surrogate models. In the future, a machine learning-based general-purpose surrogate model can be developed so that a multi-scale analysis with global structure simulation can be carried out. Thank you.